Hello, God's chosen people. How y'all doing? I am doing just fine. Looking forward to learning life lessons with you all today. So, if I call your name, make sure to stay present, and you can say that you're present by hitting the like button. Let's do roll call. Chosen ones, divine ones, blessed ones, kind souls, empaths, children of light, blessed and highly favored. Be sure to mark yourself present for class today. And also, if you want extra credit, subscribe to the channel. Have you ever picked up on the narcissist insecurities in any way? Have you accidentally stumbled upon them? Have you noticed them indirectly by observation? Did they let a little bit of their insecurity slip out without really paying attention? Have you? I definitely have. Now, it didn't happen that often because narcissists are very good at wearing the mask, as you know. They cover up lots. They can be one person, in public, and then a whole different person at home behind closed doors in privacy with just the two of you. They can be very much a prancing Shetland pony in front of a large crowd or a group. They can show one face to the family and then a whole nother face to you when you get home. And so that was pretty much my experience with a covert narcissist for 14 years. He was definitely one person in public and then another person in private. But he did have some deep-rooted, deep-seated insecurities when it came to his appearance. So let's talk about what insecurities actually are. Let's define those. So an insecurity is a feeling of inadequacy, uncertainty, or lack of confidence about oneself, one's ability, often characterized by fear of rejection, failure, or judgment from others. So my narcissistic ex-husband had a real thing for the mirror. He loved to stay in the mirror. He liked to go in the bathroom and spend hours and hours in the mirror, just gazing upon his beautiful self. So he would be in there doing lots of extra shaving, lots of getting his hairline just right, just perfect. And his beard or goatee, didn't have a beard, but he would be lining up that goatee just so. This was a daily thing. He spent lots and lots of time on just working on his face and his hairline. Now, he did have a receding hairline that was hereditary. And, he had a little bit of insecurity about that hairline. So that's why it had to be, just so. And we both had a pronounced forehead. And so he would just have that hairline just so to kind of, make it look okay with his forehead in his mind. And he had this thing about lining up his mustache just so also, so that it was perfect. He just had a thing about hair in general. He was, you know, pretty fixated on his hair, all of the hair on his body. He had like a fixation, like a love thing going on with his body hair. So his fixations and addictions and all that, they spilled over into other areas of his life involving his appearance. He had a massive shoe collection. And I'm not just talking about, tennis shoes. I mean, he had an extensive shoe collection, loafers and different things like that. He had, tennis shoes to match the colors of his outfit. He was quite particular with colors matching. Belts had to match the shoes and shirts. It couldn't be like different variations of, brown. They all had to match pretty good, pretty close. And so, he had this thing with picking out the perfect outfit, the perfect shoes, everything had to be just lined up. So let's talk about his, I would call it an obsession with his mustache. I would venture to say the most important thing on the narcissist's face to him was his mustache, and it had to be lined up pretty perfectly. Now, he was the type of person that would be in the mirror in the bathroom, lining up his mustache and his hairline, and he would call me in there to ask my opinion of how he should line it. What do I think about his line? How do I think his mustache should look? How should it be? And he would call me in there sometimes 4 and 5 times in that one session that he was grooming himself. And it would be repeatedly, like more than one day out of the week, because he pretty much lined it up pretty much every day or every other day. So he would call me in there to ask me the same questions over and over and over and over again. And I am a pretty patient person. I can have a high tolerance for aggravation, a high tolerance for pain, and I can be long suffering, understanding, sympathetic, empathetic. And I pushed all of those characteristics to the limit when the narcissist would badger me with questions about his mustache. And one fine day, the narcissist asked me questions about, the thickness of his mustache. So, like how wide it was across his lip. And he kept asking me over and over again, repeatedly, if his mustache was too thick. Should he make it thinner? And I bared with him as much as I could, and he just kept asking me over and over again. And finally, I'd had enough. And I yelled out in frustration, "It looks like Charlie Chaplin!" And then we both got silent, and we both looked at each other. And I wasn't sure if he was going to pop off and get enraged or what. That's kind of what I was expecting, but I just couldn't help but to let that aggravation out. And, to my surprise, the narcissist let his guard down. And the narcissist actually told me his insecurity, and I couldn't believe it. He agreed with me that the mustache was too thick, but he turned and told me why. He said to me that his top lip was very thin, which it was. It was almost non-existent. And he said to me he had his mustache thick like that because he wanted to hide his upper lip. And I couldn't believe my ears that he said that. Now, I didn't have a problem with, his upper lip being thin or anything like that. I don't care about stuff like that. My high school sweetheart had 2 very noticeable birth defects, and it didn't bother me one bit. I am I'm just that person I'm outside the box. I'm not in the box. And for some reason, differences and quirkiness and stuff I kind of gravitate towards. So I don't have any issues with that. I'm kind of for the underdog. I consider myself an underdog, and so I root and I come alongside and I fight for the underdog. That's just me. And so I never saw his upper lip as anything, you know, that was unattractive or a problem or anything like that. But apparently, and I believe it was some woman or some girl had made fun of him or beat him down so much or teased him, whatever the case, about how small his top lip was. And, for the first time, I saw the narcissist in a vulnerable state, you know, and I didn't take the opportunity to kick him when he was down. I just let him know, I understand what you're saying, that's why you are having your mustache be that thick, but I'm letting you know, not quite necessary. I accept your top lip for the way that it is, and you don't have to wear your mustache that thick for me or anybody else. So when he was expressing, how small he felt like his lip was and how he tries to hide it and all of that, I began to tell him, the other things about his face that, I found, to be unique and beautiful. He had these big brown eyes, had these extremely long eyelashes. And so, I just told him, about his features, you know, and I let him know, that he's God's creation. We all have, our beauty points, about us. And so I just saw like a little bit of a different side of him after, you know, we had that conversation. And, you know, he seemed a little bit more at ease. Now, I'm not saying I took away his insecurity. That's not what I'm trying to say. But, you know, I did take the opportunity to, to build him and not tear him down. Now, I can't say that was returned to me, but, I didn't treat him the way he treated me. And I think that's just how empaths are. We know how it feels to be beat down and torn down, and we don't wish that on anyone else. We don't take the time to do the things to people that they do to us. Certain things are just not really in us. And, we would feel bad if we, did horrible things to people, even though they do horrible things to us. I do think it's very ironic that you can accept, the imperfections and insecurities from other people, um, that you love, but then they can't return that same to you. I find it very interesting that they can take all of your compliments, they can take all of your self-esteem boosters, all of the things that you do and say to edify them, but then they don't return that to you, especially narcissists. 1 Corinthians 8:1 says, love edifies. So if you love someone, that's what you're going to do. You are going to build them up. Love builds up. Love does not tear down. Love speaks life into people and over people. It does not speak death and destruction. Galatians 5:22. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. Against such, there is no law. That's how we should be treating each other, with all of those fruit of the Spirit, especially the person that you took a vow to love for the rest of your life. You should be showing those fruit of the Spirit as much as you can every single day. Chosen ones, your empathy is a gift from God. Use it to love on people. Use it to embrace them with kindness. We're not doing tit for tat. We're not treating people just as they treated us. We are loving people with the love of Christ. Is that always easy? Absolutely not. But each day we have to make a choice, a conscious decision to be kind, and a conscious decision to show love. To have mercy on people just as Christ has had mercy on us. So, chosen ones, if you are shining your light and your light happens to land on someone's insecurities, make sure that you also shine the light of love on them. Keep shining and shine on and walk into the marvelous light.